Hello and welcome to Day One Patch Podcast, episode 548. That's a lot of episodes. That is a lot of god dang episodes. I'm here with Matt Lawrence.
Why'd you hesitate?
Because I don't remember if I said my name. I'm Ryan Johnson. Matt Lawrence is here.
I am.
Tim Spence is here.
Yes, sir.
How y'all doing?
I'm doing all right, yeah.
It's Black Friday. You guys do some shopping? Get some shopping done?
I knocked out a big portion of my shopping list at 4 a.m.
At 4 a.m., you told me.
Yeah, that's right.
I had some things I was looking at like during the week because it's Canada, so we just do Black Friday all month instead of on Black Friday. And there were some things that were on sale that I was like kind of interested in, so I put them on a wish list. And then I went to look at that wish list today to see if any of the sales were like different, and they all ended. So all the Black Friday sales were not on Black Friday, but they were every other day this month other than Black Friday.
Oh my god.
Cyber Monday?
Maybe. We'll see.
It's all the same, though.
Yeah.
And I was even watching the CBC this morning, and they were talking about how like these sales just kind of happen all year now. There's just sales on the same exact items every single time, and then so when Black Friday comes around, it's the same stuff that's for sale, and it's just like they're not as big as they used to be. The discounts.
Yeah. There's no door crashers anymore.
I don't really hear people like trampling people anymore. It's just like, man, Black Friday is even ruined.
Now it's the warehouse workers being trampled.
Now it's the warehouse, the Amazon employees being trampled by the machines,
by packages, more so
by the robots coming to take their jobs.
Oh,
Matt,
Ryan,
do you have a video game fun fact for us?
I just have a video game fact. Actually,
it's not fun.
The PlayStation 5 has been released. No, it's
yeah.
I do indeed actually. So this is random, but I never played this game. I don't really know what it is. I just remembered the cover art, and it's for a game called Cold Fear. The reason why this came across my radar again, kind of forgot all about it, is because I went on to timeextension.com and they were talking about how it was just added to the GOG, what's that called again? The GOG game preservation thing. I forget the official name of it. And so, the Good Old Games Preservation Program. There it is, because it's in my notes later on. And so I was like, man, this is kind of interesting. And so I just kind of looked up the game and was like, why was it added to the program? And it turns out that there is a pretty cool fun fact about the game. So we'll kick things off. So today we're going to dive into Cold Fear, a video game from 2005 that's part survival horror and part third-person shooter. Now, the game was developed by a French studio called Darkworks and published by Ubisoft on PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Windows PC. And you play the character Tom Hansen, a U.S. Coast Guard officer who answers a distress call on a Russian whaling ship during a brutal storm, only to discover that the crew has been transformed into, guess what? You've guessed probably correctly at this point, zombie-like creatures.
Oh, okay.
By a mysterious parasite.
I thought it was going to be something like Goofy.
No, although not goofy, but very standard, I suppose. Now imagine Resident Evil on a rocking boat with a bit of a spy thriller in there, because there's some Russian mafia and stuff in there. There's some CIA involvement, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like a classic B-movie setup. You're stranded at sea. There's monsters everywhere. And you're that poor soul that's stuck cleaning up the big old mess that's going on out there. Now, I mentioned that the ship is rolling around, and that's actually the kind of like the meat and potatoes of the fun fact this week, because this game has a unique rolling ship mechanic. So gamers and also some other commenters and things that I found as I was researching this found that one of the coolest things about Cold Fear, and honestly its claim to fame, is the actual ship that you're on itself. So the entire first half of the game is set on a large whaling ship caught in a raging Arctic storm, and the environment in totality moves. The deck pitches and sways beneath your feet in real time. And this wasn't just for show either. It heavily impacts gameplay. Your character and the enemies can lose balance when the ship lurches. Hansen can grab railings or walls to steady himself while aiming, and you'll actually need to do that as the player if a big wave hits. He'll actually slip and slide across the deck unless you've braced yourself. In fact, if the ship tilts far enough, Hansen or even the creatures that are chasing him around can literally be tossed overboard into a watery doom. Meanwhile, objects in the environment are swaying and sliding around too. So things like loose crates that can swing on ropes, barrels rolling across the floor, sparking cables whip back and forth, all of which can smack into you or into enemies. And it's just basically just chaos in the best way, turning the environment into an extra enemy And few games before or since have done anything quite like this in a horror setting, especially back on the game's release back again in 2005. Now, this rolling ship mechanic wasn't just impressive from a gameplay standpoint. It was actually a technical marvel and very unusual for the time. So the developers had built a new system from scratch to make it work. They created a custom program called the Dark Wave Editor, specifically to simulate the ship's movements realistically. This tool let them control the ship's pitch and roll on separate axes, basically recreating the feel of a vessel rocking on turbulent waves. They even implemented real physics for all the inanimate objects so that boxes, bodies, debris, and all these things would react naturally, not only to flying around, as I've already mentioned, but also react naturally to just swaying. And here's a crazy thing is because the ship's motion was so unpredictable, the team had to massively expand the character's animation set. So the main character, Tom Hansen, he needed 9 times the number of animations of an ordinary third-person game hero in order to react to all the possible angles and positions of the tilting ship. So in practical terms, they ended up making over 900 unique animations, resulting in thousands of possible movement combinations so that the character could stumble, brace, or fall convincingly as the deck moved. And that was pretty cutting-edge stuff, of course, in 2005. And it pays off even today because, of course, this is kind of the thing that people remember about this game. And unfortunately, it's one of the only things people remember about this game because the release and reception was not all that great. So Cold Fear, like I said, launched in March of 2005 on the PS2 and Xbox, and a PC port followed soon thereafter, a few weeks later. Unfortunately for Darkworks, this was just a couple of months after the genre-defining Resident Evil 4 came out. So a bit of poor timing there. Now, not surprisingly, Cold Fear garnered mixed reviews and a fairly lukewarm response from critics. So on Metacritic, its scores hovered in the high 60s to low 70s out of 100 on all platforms. Let's say around a 7 out of 10. The Xbox version reviewed slightly better than the PS2 and PC versions due to better performance and more power of the Xbox. But the difference was not huge. In general, reviewers praised some aspects of the game, but found the game overall just okay. They did appreciate Cold Fear's atmosphere and ambitious setting. The open section on the storm tossing in the ship got a lot of love as it's intense, it is disorienting, and quite, genre defining or quite difficult, I guess you could say, for the time. Now, of course, on the heels of this, commercially, unfortunately, Cold Fear flopped. It sold poorly, especially in the shadow of bigger titles like the Resident Evil 4, like I just mentioned. And by early 2006, almost a year after release, the game had only sold about 70,000 units in the United States across all 3 of the platforms. Wow. Now, that's a very low number for a console game, and it classified Cold Fear as a definite commercial failure. Not exactly a shock when, it's not exactly a shock then that Ubisoft never greenlit a sequel, and unfortunately, the franchise, if we can call it that, died right then and there. Darkworks would then move on to other projects, and Cold Fear kind of faded into obscurity for a long time until GOG, of course, went and picked it up. Now, just to touch base with where Darkworks was, they moved on to other projects. The developer Darkworks, unfortunately, did not last many years after Cold Fear. One of their later projects was I Am Alive. It was a post-apocalyptic survival game that went through development hell and was eventually finished by Ubisoft Shanghai. Interestingly, I Am Alive was also re-released on GOG's preservation program alongside Cold Fear. And it's kind of weird that those 2 games, I guess, have been reunited in that way. And what's cool about this, this resurgence of Cold Fear. So if you're a fan of it, it's kind of I don't know if I want to call it a cult classic, but I'm just going to call it that for the sake of conversation. What's cool is that, of course, GOG has added it to that good old games preservation program. And it actually got more than just game preservation. So it actually got a bunch of bug fixes. It got, where's my list here? The new GOG version comes with a slew of enhancements under the hood. So, for example, they updated the game to run smoothly on Windows 10 and 11. They added support for modern resolutions, such as high definition and 4K, and even high refresh rates, and enabled full support on modern game controllers. They also patched a bunch of old bugs. Some reports from players mentioned fixes for crashes, graphical glitches, and other quirks that the original PC release had back in the day. And that's Cold Fear, kind of an ill-fated, unfortunately, developer and an ill-fated game that's kind of a cult classic due to a fun fact. And that's the fun fact of the week.
So wait, is it not even available on Ubisoft's own store?
As far as I know, it is not. I never checked that. I just know that it did come out
right now. I see it on GOG. No Cold Fear.
Yeah, so like I don't know if it was ever available digitally, but I do know that in recent years it has not been available on digital shelves, and this is kind of a resurgence of the game, so it's actually available on the in a modern way from a modern launcher.
It doesn't look that bad. These screenshots.
From what I like from the screenshots I saw when I was researching, and I mean obviously I remember the cover art quite well for one reason or another. I honestly wonder how much Resident Evil 4's close release hurt it. If it was if there was a period, because I don't know how quickly Resident Evil games are released, if there was a period in which Resident Evil fans were starved for content, would it have done better if they released in that window? I couldn't tell you, but
oh man, old IGN video for the trailer
with the frickin' what do you call it? Little like old IGN logo, like watermark. Couldn't think of the word watermark.
Yeah, where it says IGN.com, and this trailer looks like poo.
Oh, but the ship is rolling around in a cool way, right?
I stopped watching.
Oh, okay.
It is funny though. On GOG here, it says similar to this, and then it has Resident Evil.
Of course, which is as true as it is unfortunate.
Then it says friends leaderboards, and it has my name, and it says number 1.
You're the number 1 player of a Cold Fear.
Played it. What are you talking about?
Cold compress fear. You're just terrified of cold compresses.
All right, awesome, man. I like these spotlights on these little known games or games that could have been.
Well, thank you. And what's weird is like I don't know if you guys have games like this, but like Cold Fear, like I said, like for some reason I just remember the cover art. I remember it being on the shelves, and then I just don't think of it ever again. Like I never played it. I don't even know what it is. And then years later, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, like I know that game. Like I remember that.
Yeah. So how did you come across it for this fun fact?
So I went on timeextension.com and they were mentioning the GOG program because it's like just been instituted like recently. Like instituted for this game, I should say.
Yeah.
It's cool that it's got modern support. That's surprising.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's one thing I like about that program as well is that like I get that they need to keep it compatible, but at least it's not like how like some old games will have like a boot issue, and that was the way it was on the disc back on the computers it was used to, and like I had a few old games back the day where it took three or four tries to boot the stupid thing up to get it to work. It's like I'm glad that stuff's fixed too. So like not only is it compatible with modern games, it's also it just friggin' works, like Todd Howard says.
That's his famous quote. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our first story. Speaking of Ubisoft, Matt, Far Cry is getting a TD adaptation from Rob Mack and Alien Earth creator Noah Hawley. This is from IGN. Far Cry is taking its special brand of mayhem to FX and streaming service Hulu with a new series based on the games. Alien Earth's Noah Hawley is producing with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia's Rob Mack starring and producing. Quote, what I love about the Far Cry game franchise is it's an anthology. Each game is a variation of a theme, the same way each season of Fargo is a variation on theme, said Hawley. To create a big action show that can change from year to year while always exploring the nature of humanity through this complex and chaotic lens is a dream come true. I'm excited to partner with Rob and bring our shared irreverent ambition sensibility to the screen. End quote. The plan is for each season of the show to take on a new setting, similar to the games with Mac in the starring role. Details on the release date or content are still under wraps, but the games have given us everything from Montana, USA, to the Himalayas, and cults, insane dictators, and pirates. So there's plenty to work with. How are you guys currently feeling on the whole Far Cry franchise? There isn't really a game that we know of on the horizon. I did enjoy the last game. I had a lot of fun with it, but I don't know. It's interesting that they're choosing this as a title to kind of make a show out of.
I only really played 3, and I did play the crap out of 3 and really enjoyed 3. It was one of the first games that I really got a chance to have like real modern like PC gameplay for myself at the time, like with a dedicated gaming PC. It was the first game that I played in a way that was just like objectively like higher frame rate, higher resolution, higher graphic settings than console because I
Yeah.
was always playing consoles ever since I was a kid. So that was like for me, Far Cry 3 is like that. In my mind, it's that first really like breakout bombastic experience for me in like
Hmm.
graphics and gameplay wise. Even if the game itself wasn't necessarily like it was no, crisis for the time or whatever. Like it wasn't
Right.
super taxing, but it was like noticeably a different experience from console. So I played the crap out of that game. And
Although I do remember them kind of being benchmark or bench test or what's it called? Yeah, benchmarking kind of games, especially Far Cry 2 at least, because it had a lot of like simulation animation and stuff like that.
yeah, I mean, I won't say that I was running it at like a steady 60 and like on the highest settings and stuff, but like it was higher for sure. It was a different experience. Um, and it's funny because I think when the fourth one came out, I was like, oh, I gotta play this game because like the third one was so good, and I want to like relive that and see what else these devs have cooked up. But I think it was just around one of those times where I had like a lot of other things I was doing, and so I never really got around to it.
Hmm.
But uh, Kayla had my wife, and she like, well, I should say like her brothers bought it for like PS4 or whatever, and before we had met, she had played it and had seen that like I guess because her brother had found it or whatever, had done that like secret ending at the beginning of 4, where if you just
Okay,
sit
yeah,
at the
yeah.
table and wait for like 15 minutes,
Hmm.
Pagan Min does like come back and he's like, all right, okay, we're good. Let's go see your mother's grave or whatever. And then you just like do that right away. Um, and I remember talking about that game with her like early on in our relationship and being like, oh, dang, like it's funny that there's this game that I had meant to get around to and never did. And she sort of had played it a bit and she'd like played it more than I had and was familiar with the sort of game and stuff, but she didn't know 3, I don't think. And so there was this funny like, oh, I don't know 4, but you do, and I know 3, but you don't.
That's
Matt?
that I remember like what's weird about Far Cry for me is like it was like Far Cry 3 was really good. I really like 4, and then 5 it peaked, and I really like 6 as well, but it was like going back to the tropical setting. I think I never completed it. Like I don't know what it was. It was just sort of like going to Montana. It just felt like such a refreshing thing because 3 to 4, I understand they're different regions. Like one's more mountainous than the other, but it's still very sort of like you're in the jungle. You're whatever. In Montana, you're just. I mean, there are some woods and mountains, but it's like it's Montana. It's a different feel. It's a different thing. It's a different vibe, and also the preacher is awesome. Like I really like. I forget his name now actually, but I really like that like the character, the main antagonist, which is awesome. So I think that like Giancarlo Esposito did a good job in 6 though, for sure. And the game was fun. I played it with you and Aaron for quite a while. It is something that's on my backlog. Like it's something I want to get to. Uh, and so I don't know. A Far Cry show would be kind of cool. I guess it's just the reason why I mentioned the different kind of genres of different areas is like I wonder what they would choose. Like it seems like Far Cry has existed in the jungle for so long, and then they just like kind of like dabbled in Montana. Because even in 6, it's like still very it's effectively Cuba, but it's still tropical jungle once again. And so I wonder if they would stick with that or whether they would try to go and try to be like an offshoot like 5 was.
Well, they said it's going to be like an anthology, right? Where every kind of season would be different. Seasons don't even necessarily have to be a ton of episodes. Like they could kind of do it almost like a series of miniseries.
Oh, I never really thought of that. That's kind of interesting. Just kind of like, as I know that, for example, just with 5, like 5 was in Montana, but then the DLCs were all different. So it was like one was on Mars, one was in Vietnam, things
Yeah.
like that. There was another one in space, something.
Actually, yeah, like Far Cry 3 was like Tron. It was like the Blood Dragon DLC.
That's right. Yeah.
It was like a digital something. I never played that one. Everyone was always like it was like the best DLC ever at the time.
I remember people telling me that too. And I think I've played, well, there's a mission in one of them. It might be in 5 where you like kind of like revisit Blood Dragon for a bit. And when I looked it up, I want to say they were characters from Blood Dragon, but don't quote me on that. But that's kind of interesting. Do you guys think that they'll try to do the classic, like almost like a Bond villain kind of vibe again, like for each?
Probably because that seems to be their bread and butter, right?
Yeah, their
Ever
villains are
since
always
three,
kind of
they're like,
caricatures.
yeah. So interesting that it's going to have the same, I guess, protagonist, being Rob Mack. Not that they have to like follow the games and have a new protagonist every time, but it's just interesting that they probably want a consistent character to carry through the whole series. I just
I
wondering
hope.
like what's he going to be, like some kind of explorer, or like why would he be in all these different places around the world
I was gonna
getting into
say.
hijinks?
I hope they film it from a first person's perspective, so we never actually see his face.
Oh, just his hands.
We only ever see his hands and his arms and hear his voice.
Didn't several video game movies try to do that? Wasn't it like a Doom movie or something? Or
I don't know.
I kind of think it was something with The Rock. I don't know.
This might be going further back because
Oh yeah, yeah.
there's been
Not recently. It wasn't
a
recent.
long stretch of video game movies that were all very 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 bad,
Yeah.
very forgettable.
Yeah. Well, one thing I just kind of came to me is there's something that's kind of happened in most, if not all, the Far Cry since 3, which has been that like crazy sort of like psychedelic scene. Do you think that
That's stuff I don't like, actually.
do you think that this like potential, like, this season's in the mountains and this season's here and this season's here, but it's the same character? Do you think it's like, the Far Cry guy gets captured and then he gets like given these psychedelic drugs and he's in these dream worlds? Do you think they would try to do something like that to tie it all together?
I feel like it's almost like that would be an unnecessary cop out. Like you could, with it already being like an anthology, and the understanding is that it's separate stories. You don't have to have a justification for a different
That's
guy
true.
being
That's true.
in a different place or being a different character even.
That's
Like,
a fair point.
The guy that makes all the like haunting on like Hill House or Bly Manor or like all those shows, like they cast the same people multiple times for each of those shows, and they always play different characters. And then
American
you don't
Horror
go
Story.
American Horror Story, and
Yeah.
you don't go like, oh, why is this person here who is this different character now in this different time? It's like you just sort of suspend your disbelief and you understand that it's a different story.
That's actually more interesting to me. I wouldn't mind that at all. That'd be kind of cool.
I'm
I-
just I just realized, like, first of all, I didn't really know what anthology meant. Just realized, like, I've seen a collection of things that have been like, oh, I've heard the word anthology, but I didn't know what that meant. But I think you're 100% right. Is like it's almost like the Assassin's Creeds, where, I mean, this is not really what it is, but it's almost like AC really could just be an anthology, and like, oh, I'm in Japan, I'm here, I'm there, I'm in these time frames. But instead, they have the Animus, and like the Animus would be almost like that cop out. Like no one really gives a crap about the future plot of Assassin's Creed as much as they do like the past plots of, being a ninja or being in Italy or what have you. And like, I think you're right, Tim. Like if they tried to do something where it's like, these are just psychedelic trips, like what are the numbers, Mason? It would definitely be very like eye-rolly.
Yeah, you don't need the trips, like I say, right? Like that sort of feels like a cop out to me. Just present each story on its own, but like by its own merit, and don't try to do any sort of meta connection between them. Just show each one as it is.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering, are they going to do a Far Cry Primal season? And then if the characters are just like playing different people, you could just be
Holy crap! I forgot about Primal.
caveman.
I bought 4 and Primal at the same time, and I played more of Primal, which is to say, like 4 hours.
I don't mind it. I thought it was pretty refreshing. There's a small group of fans who really like Primal too. I know it might not have like reviewed well or sold well, or if people actually care about it much, but I thought it was fun.
I wanted to try it. It was just one of those periods of time for gaming for me where like I just couldn't get invested in any game I was playing. So I was just kind of doing the shotgun strategy of like just trying to play as many different games as possible and just see what sticks, and nothing stuck. So that was one of those games that I played during that time. So I've never gone back to it since then.
I remember playing Primal with on your save file, Ryan. Like Marty and I we're just fucking around, and we went and found like the Flintstone car Easter egg, like under under like some sort of pond or whatever. But what's kind of interesting is like Far Cry to me, actually, like you can ride the animals, but Far Cry is actually a pretty decent sort of like RPG where you walk, because like, Far Cry kind of in general, if you look at the series as a whole, it's like very much like vehicles, and you like, you're driving everywhere, and then you get to an outpost and you hop out, and then you kind of do your stealth or your, guns ablazing and kind of thing. And then you drive to the next outpost or you drive to the next mission. But even like Far Cry 5, there were quite a bit of walking paths, and I found myself walking around a lot in Far Cry 5, just because that environment is almost like overpopulated with stuff. Like that game starts getting fucking silly. It's like you're fishing and all of a sudden a plane comes in, but then someone's in a helicopter and then like an eagle's up there and it's like, oh fuck, now it's going to happen. And yeah, that game kind of gets a bit silly, but like the game Far Cry, like in whatever engine it's in, or I think it's Dunia or whatever, but the vibe it gives, like it's a pretty decent RPG. And like, that's kind of what Primal feels more like, where when you have that driving mechanic, I immediately think more like GTA, but like the game works as like a game where you walk around and just do stuff, and that's kind of what Primal was to me for the little bit I played it.
All right, well, we'll be looking for the Far Cry TV show on FX. Thankfully coming to Hulu, because I don't really know how to get FX here.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you can. Can you?
Yeah, you can, but I think it's
Isn't it part of HBO?
FX? No,
I thought it was part of like HBO Max or Crave now, or God, like whatever the heck
I don't think
transformed
so.
into.
I've never had access to FX because I think it's like a Rogers like program.
Mm.
And I have Bell, so I never have been able to access, like, I can't log into their app with Bell, but I think there's a Rogers option.
It's Disney Plus.
Oh,
Hulu is now on Disney Plus,
but
so I imagine that's where we'll be able to watch it.
FX stuff was on there because Sons of Anarchy and Mayans MC was on there.
Yeah, okay. And I did watch Fargo, which was also an FX show, but I just bought the seasons on Apple TV. That's basically how I had to do it. So, all right. Next up here, Stellar Blade dev hails its performance on Steam, but new research suggests the novelty of playing PlayStation games on PC is wearing off. Comes from IGN. I kind of just cut out the Stellar Blade stuff, but they are like selling like a lot. I think it's their best selling PlayStation first party title. I think they said it was even beating out like something like The Last of Us
on PC specifically.
On PC.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just read it here actually. Stellar Blade is now the quote best selling PlayStation exclusive launch IP in history end quote on PC, eclipsing games like Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, and The Last of Us in terms of peak concurrent users on Steam. Helldivers 2, of course, remains in pole position across both single and multiplayer games, and by some considerable margin too, estimated to have sold 12.7 million copies.
Woo! 12 million copies of Helldivers?
Hell yeah.
Holy.
Wow. All right. However, a new report from, and your guess is as good as mine, Alenia Analytics estimates that while Sony has made an astonishing $1.5 billion from Steam since it started bringing its first-party titles to Valve's platform, this has mostly been buoyed by the initial rollout, with sales of sequels, think Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok, slowing down. Analysts suggest this shows the novelty is wearing off. All of Sony's major franchises have already landed on PC. The audience that was once excited to experience these games for the first time has largely been served. Later releases naturally face smaller potential audiences, and our estimates clearly show this, analyst Reese Elliott wrote. We aligned our Steam estimates for God of War and its sequel, God of War Ragnarok. We found that God of War sold 2.5 million copies after 427 days on Steam, over 2.5 times more copies than Ragnarok sold in the same time frame. Also, 13% of God of War's Steam players also played Ragnarok on Steam. The same trend can be applied to Marvel's Spider-Man sequel. So this is kind of interesting. So there was like a big hype, I guess, for PlayStation bringing their games over. But as they try to release more games, it's just like, we got other stuff to do, I guess. I don't know. What do you guys make of this?
I was curious if... Oh, go ahead.
I mean, like, one thing that would help to continue these games' popularity a bit in perpetuity would be, like, mod support, of course. I'm pretty sure Stellar Blade has a pretty big mod scene because, I mean, some people will say, some people will not, but it's a bit of a gooner game, and people want to have different modded outfits for the main character, you know? Both officially and unofficially supported. And, think about the potential for these games if there's mod support, right? It's like, even though there are mods on console for a lot of games, especially if the game itself has its own like official mod manager built into the game, it's kind of still the main draw for PC gaming. in a world where games are being released on both console and PC, people would say, "Oh, which one do I buy it on?" And it's like, well, if you want a mod, go with the PC version because
Hmm.
even if they're both going to get mod support in some form at some point, PC is going to be first because it always is. It's like day one. There's
Well,
already
how often do consoles actually get mod support? Like I know like Fallout and Skyrim did, but are there any
it,
other games that really have
it,
mod support?
yeah, Baldur's Gate has official mod support on console.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And there's a handful of others, but yeah, it's not like it still happens even if it's not official. It's
Hmm.
just it's a lot harder.
Hmm.
Not that it's harder. It's a little harder, but it's a lot less accessible to the average person to do modding on
It's like
console.
that Bloodborne 60 FPS like mod that someone made.
Yeah, and funnily enough, because you were talking about Sony exclusives on PC, I was like, I know how they get
Where's
people to come
Bloodborne?
back because it's not up to FromSoft, right? It's up to Sony. So if Sony did it, little Bloodborne on PC action. I mean
I
that.
wonder what their hang up is. I don't. Do they want it to be like a spectacle when they finally do it, or are they just not interested? And I'm surprised after Elden Ring that they're not like,
Yeah,
we have a FromSoft exclusive on our hands, that we could launch.
and I'm
And
pretty sure.
even just remastering Bloodborne would be enough. It's like Jesus.
Yeah, it's at this point like with Duskbloods being exclusive to the Switch 2, I feel like a
Right.
lot of people feel like it's kind of like a slap in the face. Like, and that's not FromSoft's fault, right? That FromSoft is like Sony won't let us do Bloodborne on PC, so we're gonna do Duskbloods on Switch 2.
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe that's not the exact conversation, but that's what it looks like to the consumer, right? And yeah, it's very weird that like it's if it's a decision, if it's a specific decision to not just port, not even remaster, just port Bloodborne to PC in the same way they've ported other PS4 games in the past to varying degrees of success. Like it has to be a decision at this point, and it's like if it is a decision, why? What like you say? What is the hang up? And like because there's no way the decision is based off of like, oh, we can't do it, or it's like, oh, it's too hard, or the architecture of the PlayStation try to translate it to computer, like it's too hard. Like
But that
they've
guy
already
showed you it was possible.
they've already like other people, third party people, right? They've shown it as possible, and now
Hmm.
PlayStation and Sony have a bunch of their other IPs on like playable on PC on Steam. So like I find it hard to believe that at this point it's just they haven't thought to do it because they probably get
Oh, they know. They know for
they
sure.
probably get emails every day about being like, hey, when's the Bloodborne port to PC? Like every day they probably get it.
Is it possible they're saving it for the PS6 launch?
PS6 launch Bloodborne on PC.
Not to PC, but like I've remastered Bloodborne launched a PS6, just like the PS5 had Demon Souls.
I'm pretty sure. I guess I should probably look it up, but I could have sworn I read in an interview where like maybe not Miyazaki specifically, but representatives for FromSoft had said like they'd be interested in working with Sony again to do Bloodborne, on PC or on another platform to get it just off this like
Yeah,
single platform that it's been locked to for so long. And it's like it's specifically Sony is the one who's not coming to the table about that discussion. So like there's gotta be some specific reason that they're not doing it because and I know there's lots of like conspiracy out there that people are like, oh, they're just trying to like hang it over our head, they just like to watch us suffer. And it's like you think a
that's not a
company
business. Yeah,
that knows how that like they know that there is a market to be satisfied and has the means to satisfy that market would purposefully deny that market and deny themselves that money. Like you say, that's not how a
that's just
business
wild. Yeah,
works.
yeah. Man, one of my problems with PlayStation's games on PC is kind of how expensive they remain, and I
Trying
wonder
to
if
do the
that
Nintendo thing.
is, I wonder if that's like hurting sales or at least sequel sales, maybe.
These are AAA games.
No, they are. I'm not denying that, but they're also old games, and I know they're new to PC. I'm fine with them launching at full retail on PC. That's fine. But then like God of War Ragnarok is 20% off, but it's still 63.99.
Well, what I was going to say though is that it's because like if you release a AAA title, like you're going to need a half decent PC, and so if somebody could buy God of War, they might have been maxing out at God of War, and they can't get God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, I guess. But most Steam players don't have maxed out PCs.
No, I mean they're maxing out their capability of their PC with the first God of War. So
So
they
they
buy the
can't
first God of
play God
War,
of War 2.
right? Because they don't have the PC for it. Maybe.
I don't know. I just think like, a lot of Steam players are obviously used to like some pretty steep discounts and some pretty affordable games. And I even would like to buy more PlayStation games on PC just to support it. But then I see God of War Ragnarok and it's $63.99. And I'm like, I can't, no, I can't, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everything PlayStation publisher on Steam is on sale right now for Black Friday.
Yeah.
Aside from Midnight Murder Club, because it's only $15 to begin with. But yeah, everything's like 33% off, 20%, 20%, 2020. Lego Horizon Adventures is actually 50% off, so is Until Dawn. But then yeah, God of War Ragnarok's 20. Horizon Zero Dawn is remastered is 40. Ghost of Tsushima 40. Forbidden West Complete Edition 40. Helldivers 20. Ratchet and Clank is actually 60.
There you go, Matt. Didn't you want to get that on PC?
I was thinking about it, but I played it on PS5.
What kills me every time, and I know it's like this is not unique to modern day or specifically Steam or whatever, but I hate when companies go, "Oh, save up to this amount on all of our sale things," and it's only one thing that is that discount, and then everything else is like not close to that. Like PlayStation publisher sale on Steam here, it's like save up to 67%, and there are two games that are 67% off and everything else is 20% off. So it's like it's not really it's not really that good a sale, is it, when everything's only 20% off? And like you said, Ryan, everything's still starting at like full price AAA game price anyway, even though these are like kind of older games.
I guess, I mean, you might just have to wait longer because the first God of War is like 60% off and it's only 25 bucks. That's pretty good. And then Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection is 21.44. Like I'm actually eyeing that up as maybe I'm gonna buy that. But I'm just saying, if they're complaining about their sequels not selling, it's because they're just a bit out of reach, I think, for what are pretty old games at this point.
I guess it makes you wonder, like, how significant is the market of people who are like, man, I always wanted to play PlayStation games, but I never had a PlayStation. I wish I could play all these like classic first party titles, because PlayStation has a reputation for like some pretty good first party titles.
Mm-hmm.
But on my PC, and then they go to Steam, like, oh dang, like look, this is a pretty big catalog. There's a lot of decent games here, but then they're like too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously that's a market. Like there's a group of people who they didn't play these games on PlayStation. They have an interest to playing them, but they want to play them on PC, and so those games are there. But it's like, is the price right?
Yeah.
Do we know what the initial price of God of War was? Because that sales figure of 2.5 million was taken 427 days after it was on Steam. So it would be the first year. I wouldn't be surprised if it was kind of like, console MSRP for a new title at the time, which I think might have been $10 or $20 cheaper, maybe.
I don't remember what the launch price was. Probably full.
So like it's just kind of interesting that that it wouldn't be as comparable, right? I mean, I guess the economy is another thing. Like if the economy is doing worse right now, or whatever. One thing I was going to say too is that a lot of PC gamers, in my experience, really do enjoy indie titles, and a lot of indie titles are quite time consuming. Lots of survival games, lots of building games, lots of multiplayer games where it's like, hey, let's build a base together, things like that. So it's like now you're like kind of monopolizing the time of a whole friend group, like 5 people or whatever. And then they're getting that, early access or otherwise for, up to $50, but it could be 20. It could be $20. So for some of these titles. So I do wonder whether that's another thing where, like, it's not like you guys mentioned the price, like that's a lot of time per dollar ratio if you calculate it that way. But also I noticed, unless it's just the algorithm on YouTube, but I noticed a lot of people complaining about AAA games and how there's not enough innovation in them and, yada, yada. And I wonder if that's being felt in the PC space because there is quite a bit of innovation in the indie space, and whether like people who are into that sort of unique experiences are like, well, I'm just going to play, Peak, and I'm going to play all these other PC games. And
Peak would never be a game made by a big AAA studio. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unlikely. Yeah.
It's kind of wild that it something like that. I mean, that game was like pretty cheap, right? What was it, $10 or whatever it was?
Something like that, yeah.
So that kind of helps that it's sales wise. I don't think they could have sold it at $80, but I'm always curious about this too. It's like, they're obviously their development cost is going up, and so they raised the price. Last gen they raised it $10, and I don't know if they're raising it again, but in Canada it's been like raised. A lot of games are like now $93, $96.
before tags.
But it's like, how come they never try lowering the price and hoping it sells more quantity? You know what I mean? What if God of War 3 comes out and it's $60?
It's got to be a thing, and like I don't understand it, so I might be totally off base. I would estimate that it's got to be a thing where they're seeing, especially when they're at such a level, like Sony's at like a monolith, they're like a titan, right, in the space, where when you're at that scale, it's probably not worth it for you to do that. Like you wait until the game is older and then you lower the price. Maybe you have steep discounts or half decent discounts, and that looks better on such a high price to bring people in. Like, oh my God, if I miss this sale, this game's going to be $90. I better get it for 40. Meanwhile, if you sold it for 40 and you never put it on sale, people would be kind of like, what the hell? Like, why is it never on sale? Like, I'm just guessing. But
as far as I know, though, like your best time to get sales is at launch. It's hard to recapture that kind of explosion of both marketing and hype and everyone interested. I don't know. I'm just saying, if prices never come down, they always just go up, and it's like, how come no one actually tries to bring prices down?
I see. I think that like that's almost like something that's like, this sounds weird, almost like something that's innovative that indie developers are doing. But again, like they're operating generally on they're not the size of a Titan.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if they're able to, if there's 13 devs and they make $13 million after all is said and done, that's $1 million per dev if that's how they pay it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money per developer, and then they can go and make another game. But, $13 million to Sony is sort of like, oh, like I accidentally dropped this.
It just seems like a self-fulfilling prophecy to me. It's like, you take a look at the theater business for movies. It's like, they're complaining, oh, people don't go to the theaters anymore, and we're going to charge you $25 for an IMAX ticket. You know what I mean? It's like
theaters are the theaters in particular are one of those industries where at least the theaters that are near us is like in one of those like downward spirals where the facilities are pretty gross. Like the seats are bad. Like I've had like I had to spring up my ass the last freaking time I went. So that was that. The seats are pretty bad. The
lights flicker.
The lights are generally
come
broken
on during the show.
Yeah, the lights have come on during the show. Like the
Sound
staff is
sometimes.
The staff is like, fucked that up a couple of times. So they're probably not, investing in training. The screens have noticeable lines in them when they're not IMAX, at least in our local theater. They have the same gross carpet they had for like 15 plus years. Like, you know what I mean? There's just this list of like, hey, like, why is no one showing up? And it's like, dude, you're running, something that isn't all that great. Plus, and then you're charging me, $50 for a what do you call it? A combo with popcorn. Like, what are you guys doing?
But that's what I'm talking about, though. It's like, from what we hear from like some industry people is that like it's getting harder and harder to sell games at such high prices or such high production prices. And that like the market isn't growing. They're trying to expand it into new markets. They're trying to get more gamers on. That's like Xbox's big push is trying to get people who don't game to actually game to play on their TVs and all this stuff. But then at the same time, we're raising prices. Our next gen console is going to be super expensive. Our new handheld super expensive. It's like, how does that work? I don't understand how that works. Please play our games that we have jacked up the price on. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy to me.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Like it definitely sucks.
It feels very like you say, right? Like very out of touch with the actual market you're trying to sell to.
Yeah, but I'm sure they know better than me with all their billions of dollars. So, all right, our last story. Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney says Steam should drop its made with AI tags. This comes from The Verge. So yeah, he thinks that Steam and other game stores should drop its made with AI tags, arguing that they'll soon be irrelevant as generative AI becomes ubiquitous in production. Quote, the AI tag is relevant to art exhibits for authorship disclosure and to digital content licensing marketplaces where buyers need to understand the rights situation. Sweeney wrote on X in response to a user calling for Steam and other digital marketplaces to drop tags that mark content made using generative AI. It makes no sense for game stores where AI will be involved in nearly all future production. Why stop at AI use? We could have mandatory disclosures for what shampoo brand the developer uses. He wrote in another post, "Customers deserve to know, lol."
Bit of a
A-
reach.
After initially taking a cautious approach towards AI-generated code and assets, Steam now permits the majority of games that have been developed using generative AI, so long as that use is disclosed. Sweeney, who also runs rival Epic Game Store, thinks that sort of disclosure is no longer necessary.
I will say that to an extent, I understand where he's coming from. If you are of the mindset that it is irrelevant, then why wouldn't we tag other irrelevant things? But for because here's the thing, people don't give a shit about what shampoo the devs use. They do
That one's
give a
ridiculous.
shit if generative AI was used in video games because it's about artistic integrity. And like, as much as the tech forward people, the endless, progress, bottom line number always need go up crowd, they are trying to continue to push this narrative that generative AI it's going to be ubiquitous. It is the future. It's going to be, in everything. It's the future. You got to get with it or get out of the way. I still don't think that is the case because a lot of people want to know that what they are using, what they're purchasing, what they're spending their money on and spending their time on was made by a creative with a specific vision in mind, and that like no matter how far back you go in human history, there have always been those that have created something that it wasn't required for survival, but it added to humanity's enjoyment of existence, Like I feel like there's two primary groups in society. There are those that can appreciate the creatives and the art, and there are those that just don't really care that much about it because it doesn't serve them in an objective, meeting their bare needs of survival way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's lots of people that say, "Oh, I just don't really listen to music that much." And then there's other people that go like, "I'm never not listening to music. Like music is so much of my life," right? And it comes down to the appreciation of the thing. Some people appreciate it and some people don't. And I really feel like that's the difference in the two like kind of camps about generative AI is it's the people who are much more, creative brained or creative appreciation versus those who are a game is just a product and it's not about creativity and it's not about vision and it's not about passion. It's just about make a product that people buy. And I understand why those people would think that generative AI is just a thing to be used to make a product that people will buy. But you can't be surprised when people find out that you used generative AI in your game in a process of, creating it, and that people are upset about that because a lot of people view it as like it's not just that it's like, oh, you used a more advanced tool and then that made a shortcut, like you need to work harder, not like smarter kind of a thing or whatever. It's really more that generative AI, you're not making anything new with it. It can only ever recreate something that's already been made. So like when you think about the games that Hideo Kojima has made that are just people look at it, they're like, what the fuck? Like that is so out there. Who makes a game about being a delivery guy and it's this big world of kind of nothing, but you listen to some music while you like walk across this field, and then there's like you can kind of see ghosts, but also you can't unless you have the robot that lets you see a ghost, and these ghosts are like they have umbilical cords to a beach because they're dead, but they're still here, and it's about human. Like when people make the joke like AI could never create this, like that's what they mean is that you would have to have a generative AI just spin and spin and spin for 1,000,000 years to even come close to something that would resemble a Hideo Kojima game if he had never made those games. It's like
I think
when you have somebody who can think of something, a new concept, and they can put that out there, then that's how like new ideas are born, and that's how new things, new concepts are created. Generative AI cannot create those new concepts, and people want new stuff.
I think that I agree with you that it's like from a relevant standpoint, do you need that label on there
Yeah.
or not? But what I always find funny is that if you don't have if you are using AI in your video game and you don't feel any shame about it, then why do you want the label removed? Shouldn't you be proud of the AI label? But clearly it's like we want it off because we know it's negative. You know, I
Yeah.
just find that interesting that it's like they should be like, yeah, ours is an AI made game. We love AI. We're all in on AI.
Yeah.
Let's use AI. But no,
Say it
they're
with your whole
like
chest.
they feel ashamed about it.
They're trying to sneak around it because they know that people it loses faith.
Yeah. But I do think it's one of those things where like the genie's out of the bottle. I think AI is going to happen. It's here to stay. It's going to be used. It's going to be used any way they can. It's going to be used across the entire development of the game. Like we can't really stop it from happening now. It's going to be another tool in the tool set, so.
And like I think that there are people who look at it and they say like there is an ethical way to use generative AI. There is. It comes down to a lot of like, getting the permission from the people or the platforms or the data sets or whatever
Right.
that, you're trying to let it generate off of. That is just, it should be the bare minimum courtesy. And,
Right.
if you're like, and I think that to an extent, like there are, I would say like the biggest one right now is like Arc Raiders, where there's sort of the controversy around it with like, they say that they paid these voice actors for recording the lines and that they got their permission to use their voices to like use generative AI to further create more stuff like that. Like if those people are getting paid for it, that is
Yeah.
a way to go about using generative AI. I think that the biggest issue, aside from the whole like people are being too reliant on technology, they're like people's brains, like creative capacity in their brains is going to wither up and die if we keep just pushing it all onto machines to be creative, because it's like the one thing that humans can do that makes us human is that we can be creative. I think that the other big thing is that like people view it as it's just big companies trying to cut costs where they can, and they're trying to do it in like a hush hush way, and they're trying to do it in a way that they think that people won't notice, but people always notice. Like I think that I'm pretty like keyed in on noticing AI and stuff, but sometimes I'll like see a video on, YouTube Shorts or Instagram or TikTok, and I'm like, what the heck? This is like such a silly video or whatever. And then it's not until I go into the comments and all of the comments are like, this is so obviously AI. You can see XYZ. And then I go back and watch it and I'm like, oh yeah, no, you can see that there. Man, I didn't even cross my mind that could have been AI. But it's obviously like, it's the big hot button issue. It's the big controversy right now in any creative space, no matter what it is, not just video games. I think a lot of people are getting confused between like the idea of AI and then specifically generative AI, which is what they're kind of more upset about. And then we're just kind of like blanket smearing AI in general. And it's like, well, AI as a concept has been a thing, especially in video games, for like decades at this point. Like you could say back on the Super Nintendo, you're playing Mario Kart and the other drivers are being driven by AI. You're not mad at those.
Right. Yeah.
There's one thing I wanted to look up because I was curious, like, because there's obviously the art angle with copyright stuff and creating new images and things, but then there's also the coding angle, sound as well. But I was more interested in the coding angle myself because I was like, I wonder what the extent is. So I actually found the AI content on Steam survey kind of blog post, and so I'll just read this quickly. So it says, first, we're updating the content survey that the developers fill out when submitting to Steam. The survey now includes a new AI disclosure section where you'll need to describe how you're using AI in the development and execution of your game. It separates the AI usage in games into two broad categories. So the first is pre-generated. So any kind of content, this includes art, code, sound, etc., created with the help of AI tools during development. Under the Steam distribution agreement, you promise Valve that your game will not include illegal or infringing content, and your game will be consistent with marketing materials, etc., etc. And then here they also have live generated, so any kind of content created with the help of AI tools while the game is actually running, in addition to the following same rules, whatever. So the one thing that I was like thinking of though is what I thought interesting is the code part is it's, I mean, this goes without saying, or maybe it just doesn't matter, but like definitely coders are using AI.
Oh yeah.
And I'm wondering how much, like, because many coders that I know now, they won't even Google a problem. Even if they don't use the actual AI code, they're technically being assisted by AI. So like, I'm curious, at what stage like a developer would actually disclose this.
Disclose the code specifically?
Disclose the code, and or like, do people even care about that part? Because I know that the art and the sound is like very much in your face, like it's visual or audio, but it's like code. It's like, yeah, maybe the data miners care, but do people care about the code part? Because some people say, code's an art, this and that, but then there's others that say that code is a min-maxed thing, and human developers are not going to be as good as AI in the future at generating it. So yeah. I don't know how to really think about that, or how to what my opinion is on that, but.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I had talked about in the past, like it's something like that Kayla and I have also kind of spoken about a number of times, like the ethics in using generative AI for creative means and things. And I had mentioned about how like, some people think that like using AI in that sort of assistive way, like you say, to help them figure out how to write the code for something, like they're trying to learn how to write the code for something in a particular scenario for like game development or whatever. How most people, to kind of answer your previous question about like, would people care about that as much as they care about the sound and the graphics and the art assets and things like that? No, I don't think. I think 99% of people honestly would probably say that like it's fine for code, it's not okay for like art assets. But that raises an interesting question, doesn't it? Because it's like, is writing code inherently less creative than drawing a picture?
Right.
Like you say, some people view it as kind of an art. Like it might be the sort of thing that's a little bit, maybe it's like a higher art, quote unquote, because it takes a certain knowledge base to be able to appreciate code. Like I could not look at messy code versus clean code and go, oh, what that person did with that code is just so, it's so chef's kiss. Like it's so efficient. Right. It's so efficiently written out. It's so clever. It's so smart, versus this thing over here that like it technically does the same thing, but they took 10 more pages of code to do it. Like,
well, I'm pretty sure code is copyrighted material. Is it not, Beth?
I actually don't know. I mean, and I'm not a lawyer, nor do I deal with this on the daily, but last I've ever read about this, it's sort of like the actual composition of what you're doing exactly is. So if I wrote you like a whole driver for a Bluetooth speaker, and then I gave that to you, like that's a copyrighted thing. Like somebody else wouldn't be able to take that. However, there's some things like methods in JavaScript or other things that are just, there's a way to do them. And they're just like a common way to do them. It's just sort of how like a sentence a character says, like there's going to be common sentences across like Far Cry and everything else.
Yeah, of course. And code's the language, so you're obviously going to run into a lot of similar code.
Right.
I did look up, ironically, I use Copilot, so I'm using AI to ask this question. But it says, I asked, is programming code copyrighted? It says, yes, programming code is copyrighted. Computer programs are legally protected as literary works under copyright law, meaning the specific expression of the code, the way it is written, is automatically protected once it is created and fixed in a tangible form.
Asterisk.
Yeah.
Well, because I know like one of the things that I've seen, developers in the web dev space, because that's where I am, like complain about is they'll be like, if I were to write the code, it would take me, let's say 2 hours, but I would do this task once. In the code, it would happen once because it only needs to happen once. The AI doesn't really understand the full context, or maybe the prompt. I hear that one a lot. You need to prompt better. But like, let's just say somebody prompts, they think that they've prompted good enough, and they have this thing that works. Like it only shows up once on the screen, but in the code, it's running it 20 times. Mm-hmm. I mean, computationally, that's computational load. That's a waste. But technically, that code works. And we're starting to hear, like I haven't seen this directly, but we're starting to hear from people on Reddit and other kind of realistically horror stories at this point, is that a lot of not even game devs, but just development houses are like, go faster, make more code, go faster. And like we've had discussions, like my business partner and I, about how there's such a demand for software now that it's almost like software developers are now factory workers, where you were like, it's like, okay, next thing, okay, next thing, okay, next thing. And it's like the assembly line of like, don't care if it runs great, next. Don't care if it runs great, next. Does it work? Okay, cool, next. And
Just
it's just
shipping mass quantity.
yeah, and so it becomes this like less. I mean, I would argue, although I guess it's subjective, but like less artistic and more just like get this. It's sort of like if you work in like a small town bakery, there's like more of an artisan craft than there is going to like an industrial bakery on an assembly line where they produce the same Danish, 14 million times in a day. There's like less of like an artisan, chef's kiss to that, I would argue, than like someone who like hand, crafts the Danishes every day. At least that's what that's more of a human feel, I guess, is sort of the thing. And so, yeah, I don't know. We've kind of gone down like a rabbit hole now, but it's just interesting to me that, like, because I think with like, I think you said it, Ryan, where you're like AI is out of the bag and, it's going to be here to stay. Like, I would say that Tim Sweeney is probably correct in that it will eventually go away. The tag will go away. I think he's too early, though. I think there needs to be more stuff figured out. But with code, I feel like, again, it's become just like that factory. But there's like an argument, and a good argument, to say that like the art and the sound, and honestly, probably the code too, thrown in there. But the argument's mostly about those visual and audio elements. Like those should still have like that human artisan to it. Like it's not that Danish that's been produced 14 million times. It's like, the Danish of the day that someone's is actually handcrafted. And that's kind of what people are seemingly looking for.
Yeah, I think like the biggest thing that it comes down to is that people are trying to push back against these organizations, companies, game companies, whatever, that would, if they could, just completely have a like generative AI across the board, fully create an entire video game, and they don't have to like pay a person to do any of it.
Yeah, create and ship it, and then
they're just trying to create and ship, and it's like it's the difference there between trying to create something that had like a human quote unquote soul put into it versus just trying to mass produce a product to sell. Because people, when they play a video game, for an example, they, even if they don't realize it, they, to an extent, want to feel or understand that like what they're doing or what they're playing was made by somebody else, and or it allows them to feel a connection to the game or to other people in some specific way. And with machines doing all of it, you don't get that. And then it just feels like I'm just getting something that was churned out by somebody who didn't care. And do I want to support that or not? Some people would say yes, and some people would say no.
Right. Yeah. And you're also going to get like, there's some things that like humans will be like, oh, this feels like a waste of time, or it's like a human thing. It's like a human feel. And like, this feels like a waste of time, or we should smooth this over, or this wording is clunky. But an AI would just be like, technically that wording's correct. That script that I, gave that character, like technically, even though it's wordy as fuck, I mean, who cares? I mean, like the prompt didn't tell me how wordy or non-wordy, then we start getting into that fucking prompt engineering argument again, where it's like, well, prompt better.
And AI is going to get better too as we go here as well. So
certainly
it might actually be, something that would write proper dialogue and text and whatever it needs. All right. That's it for the news. Moving on to what we're playing. Tim Spence. Matt, what are you playing?
Wait, what?
Did you want me to ask Matt what he's playing?
No. Well, I guess, yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
All right, Matt, what are you playing?
How'd
I do, Ryan?
Pretty good.
Okay, great. Anyway, so I've been playing...
Do I start?
Yeah, go
ahead. I've been playing... I've just completed I'm going to call it the base game, although there's more to it, of that Nessie game. So Necesse. Yeah. On Steam. It's like an indie game that's like a cross of like RimWorld and Starbound and like Terraria and all these things all mashed together. And it's pretty cool. The last like standard boss before you start doing like, I think they're called incursions, kind of like raids, before you start doing them, was really fucking hard. But it's done. Those two bastards are dead, and it's on to the incursions. I tried one incursion, I got some good material, but then the boss killed me, and I didn't go back. You can attempt it like 4 or 5 times, maybe 6 times, but I haven't gone back. But no, the game's been a blast so far, and I'll probably try a couple more incursions. No Cyberpunk, unfortunately, this weekend.
Man.
I've started Cyberpunk, and like I've had a couple of good sessions. It feels like one of those games where I need to have a decently long session, because I don't want to go and be like, oh, I have like 40 minutes, hop into Cyberpunk, and then I'm just in a car talking to some fucking corpo for fucking 40 minutes, and then it's like, well, all right, and then save, and like that's it for the session. So that kind of sucks, but I'm still wanting to play that, so like that's still on the ticket. But Ryan, you and I tried some Black Ops 7.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I spent my time getting my ass kicked for about 10 ranks in a row, or 10 rounds in a row. Did some research, and apparently there is no skill-based matchmaking. And I know that there's some people are like, it's definitely in there. And it's like this controversial bullshit. If I'm taking the company at their word that it's not there, it makes sense, because sometimes I get my absolute fucking ass kicked in a way that I wasn't aware possible in a Call of Duty game.
Was Black Ops 6 skill-based?
Yes. Yeah.
That's an interesting change then.
Well, because people hate SBMM.
I kind of do, I guess. I kind of just want to fight it out.
Well, let me tell you, I tried to fight it out 10 times in a row, and
yeah,
experienced that high school COD rage there a couple times. I was like, this is fucked. Like, how is this person doing this? Like, but then ended up having some games where I wiped the floor with the people that I was facing. So there's that as well.
There you go.
I will say this: Black Ops 7 is a lot of fun. We have not tried the campaign. I wouldn't mind trying that because it looks goofy as fuck. My issue with it is that I think I like Black Ops 6 better, even though it's goofier. I think for whatever reason, it feels tighter. I don't know why that is, but that's my take. Maybe it's SBMM. Maybe I'm just like, maybe I just love skill-based matchmaking. Who knows?
I personally have never liked the multiplayer for any kind of future warfare COD game. It just doesn't feel right. I just don't know why, but I don't like it.
I wonder why for those sorts of things like skill-based matchmaking, I wonder why they don't separate it where, like, if you go into quick play, it's not skill-based, but if you go into ranked, it's skill-based matchmaking.
Isn't that the point of ranked, though?
Yeah, I suppose so. But I just wonder if, like, games would separate it with that, if you, like, depending on what you queued for kind of thing.
I see, okay.
Unless I don't play a lot of competitive shooters, so I don't know if, like, that's a very common thing, and people are sitting there going, well, obviously, yeah, dude, like, they do that. I don't know what you're talking about. But from my reckoning of, like, games that I've played or games I've seen played, it seems like a game either has skill-based matchmaking or it doesn't. And no matter what you queue into, it's that or it's not. But I was just thinking, like, I wonder if it would make sense to have, like, you can queue for casual and then it's not skill-based matchmaking. It's just, like, whoever is queued for casual. But then if you go skill-based matchmaking, or if you go ranked, then it does skill-based matchmaking.
So I believe this is how this works. So don't quote me on this, but I believe that ranked will put you in with, like, people of a similar rank, and then you, like, slowly work your way up the ranks, and you can get knocked back down, back up. How skill-based matchmaking works, at least in the last few Call of Duties, is from what I've read, is that it tries to keep you at a 1.0 kill death ratio. So if you do amazing in a match, there's a chance where it'll put you in a match where you're going to get your ass kicked to, like, knock you back down. Like, oh, you're at a 1.5, no worries, we're going to knock you back down, to a 1. So you get your ass kicked for a couple rounds, and now you've got your ass kicked for a couple rounds, then it brings you back up, and it's like, okay, now we got to give them some kills.
Don't you want people to be, like, in the same way with, like, keeping people on your platform for as long as possible to, like, fulfill the algorithm or whatever? Don't you want people playing your game for as long as possible too? Like, why would you force them back down by, like, putting them in a match they can't win by pairing them with other people? Wouldn't that make them more likely to rage quit, and then they're not going to spend as much time in your eShop?
So that's a very good point. And there was one of the COD games, we covered it, like years ago, where there was, like, a mechanic, and maybe this is still there, maybe this isn't, or maybe this never made it in, but it was like something where it would, like, kind of dynamically detect if you were having a good time. And if you weren't, then it would give you people to just, like, mulch.
Sure,
like,
a good time.
Yeah, it would be like, oh fuck, like, this guy's not having a great, match or whatever. So, like, put him in a match with, like, some noobs, and then, like, have him mulch them, kind of thing. Because all this stuff is in flux, right? Like like you're not gonna perfectly match. If Brian and I are the same skill, then it's not gonna keep putting us two in the same match against each other. And then I guess it's also that thing where it's like you have to, like, inch your way up the scoreboard. But I do agree that, like, we'll have, like, a couple of rounds where we do amazing, and then, like, the comments usually in the chat are like, great, now we're about to get our fucking asses kicked, and then you get put into the next round, and it's like, oh, here we go, right, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I hear that one complaint for SBMM being good is the complaint is that people are saying like, hey, at the very least, I'm being kept within a bracket. I don't want to log in like after work as a casual player and just get fucking wiped by a bunch of like streamers or people who play all the time. And
Yeah.
and so it's a bit of luck of the draw. Like those 10 rounds in a row, like I wasn't -4. I was fucked. Like I was like -16 every round. Like it was one game I got one kill. Like I just got my ass kicked. I couldn't kill anybody. And I looked at our team and our team was all negative. Not a single person on our team was positive. And it's like, oh, okay. So everyone else is also getting fucked this round. So I think it's one of those things again where I kind of sympathize with the developers where I don't know if there is like a perfect solution. Like if you say, okay, we'll make like an actual truly casual somehow playlist where, you know, we'll make sure that like if you hit a certain skill level that you can't play in there anymore, then you're like splitting the player base. Then people will complain about that. And so it's like, okay, well then we have to have this skill-based matchmaking thing, which also is imperfect. And then if we don't have it, then you might get, you know, bad luck. And then like you said, you're going to have a bad time and then you won't have those good rounds and you won't want to spend more money in the eShop. It's a mess.
I guess it's just one of those things where there isn't a perfect solution.
Yeah, it's
you just have to pick something.
You just have to pick something, and I feel like something like how Battlefield has handled it is actually one of the better ways to do it. Where they have like Breakthrough is one of their bigger modes, and they actually have one called Casual Breakthrough, where it puts like instead of 32 on 32 or whatever the sizes of the matches are, it does like 6 on 6 for humans, and the rest of them are bots. So if you're doing poorly, it's like, okay, you know, I can, you know, I'll still get laid out sometimes by a player, but like I can go in there and kill 10, 15 bots. I level up just like everyone else. It's not a separate level. And I actually feel kind of like a badass soldier. And like, that's totally viable. And there's a mode similar to that. Although I don't think it's Versus, but it's similar to that in the Battlefront 2. In Battlefront 2 as well, where you just like basically face the bots, but I think it's 4 players versus just the bots. And the bots are actually pretty good, but you know, they're bots. So we're able to outmaneuver them and get some pretty high kill counts. And it kind of feels like, you know, you're in the movie and you're kind of just like mowing down stormtroopers or whatever the case may be. But other than that, other than those two, I don't know. Oh, I actually played some Battlefield 6. I played some Battlefield 6 for the first time with sort of the Xbox crew because we all wanted to try it. It's been a while since we played. Like, I mean, literally like years. So we got into this and we had easily the most chaotic match of, at the very least, a modern Battlefield that I've ever experienced. We were fighting in a room and it had 2 hallways leading. So it was one room, 2 hallways, and then another room. And we were like fighting down this one hallway. And on the one end in the one room was like the point. So like that there's your setting. And so we're fighting, you know, there's people fighting and some people are trying to flank around and all this. And it's a pretty fierce fight. We hit a stalemate and eventually our team decides to bring in a tank. So there's a tank inside of this fucking building trying to fight, while the other team does the same thing, but with like an APC. And so there's effectively 2 tanks in this building. So this building starts getting fucked, and I'm like staying back because it's just chaos up there. I can't survive. And so I'm back in the back of the sort of the room that's closest to our spawn. And one of the people that I'm playing with goes, I think I hear a helicopter. So we run outside because we haven't seen a helicopter yet. Like first time playing this game, and we're like, holy fuck, there's a helicopter in the roof, like has smashed into the fucking roof. And it was just on the roof. There's people jumping out of it. You know, we're fighting these people. Everything's crazy. So we're like, all right, like we've cleared the roof. Let's go back down. As we go back down, someone's like, I hear a fucking noise. Like, what the hell is that? And the roof fucking collapses on us, like partially collapses. This reveals the fact that there's a new squad on the roof, an enemy squad, and there's us. They're scared. Like, they're like, ah, like we're looking at them like, holy fuck. And then a huge fucking fight ensues. It was utter chaos and like completely Battlefield. So I criticized the Battlefield beta as not being chaotic enough. I feel like they held back, and it is back. Like Battlefield, if you want to play Battlefield, is back. Like, holy shit.
You saying we're all getting on Battlefield now?
I mean, I'm on Battlefield apparently, so I'm already there.
Is it crossplay?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's crossplay across everything. Absolutely everything.
Oh, don't tell me that.
I mean, I'll play Battlefield. Like there's even that casual mode, like I said.
I haven't played Battlefield since 3.
And this game is like 3 and 4.
No, don't tell me that.
It's exactly like 3 and 4. Campaign's worse, but
so it is like 3.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I had a hell of a time. Oh, no, I was going to say that was it. I was going to say that's been my week. I had a hell of a time in Battlefield.
Tim?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much it's just been still doing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I'm decently far through the story now, I would say. That game's an ADHD nightmare. Like there's so many different things to do. There's way too much game in that game. I get distracted from doing long side mechanic minigame objectives by other long side minigame perpetual objectives. So to get away from that, I play Tavern Keeper, which is getting little hot fixes, little patches kind of every day or so, sometimes 2 a day.
Oh wow.
They're doing a good job keeping that thing rolling. I've finished 2 of the 3 scenarios, like the stories that are in that early access so far. I have played each of the maps in free play as well, which is not as narratively driven, and you kind of have a little more freedom and customizability for how you want sort of your session to be. And I've I guess like hit the progress cap for free play in those as well, because you can only get your taverns up to a 2.5 star tavern at this point, progression wise. So I've unlocked pretty well everything in that game, I would say. But I'm doing mostly I do like to spend my time with that game. I don't try to like get to the end as fast as possible. I enjoy the process of starting a really small, modest tavern, and then you hire a couple of people, and then you start to expand a little bit more, and then you're doing more drinks, and then you're doing food, and then you're doing better services, and then you hire more people, and you expand, and you decorate more, and it's just a very like constant progress type thing. Like every day you can do something a little bit better, a little bit different. Still playing Divinity Original Sin 2 with a friend, working our way through that slowly. We're like properly into Act 2 now. And I am at that point in that game where I don't know anything anymore. Like I'm in uncharted waters for myself.
Wow.
So everything that I come across now is new. I never really got through Act 1 fully when I played it before. So at this time I'm going through all new stuff. And similarly, I also did a pretty long session with a friend playing Borderlands 4, which I tried the pre-sequel and I didn't play 3, and I had no interest really in either. But I do keep kind of wanting to go back to Borderlands 4. There's enough there that I am intrigued by like the side missions. It feels more like it feels similar to 2 to me, and like I put a lot of hours into Borderlands 2 back in the day. I kind of thought that the like lol XD random, constant chaos style of humor and writing in the game would be lost on me at this point, because like I'm not a teenager anymore and it's not the mid 2010s. So that sort of stuff has like, or I guess early 2010s. In terms of like the current meme culture and social zeitgeist and all that stuff, it's definitely gone a little bit more by the wayside. But I mean, the other thing of it too is that Borderlands to me does feel like a game that was made by and for millennials, and I am a millennial, so I'm gonna appreciate it better than like younger people will, or appreciate it more in that sense than like younger people will. And I would say I am pleasantly surprised by how much how often I see things or whatever in Borderlands 4 that I'm like, you know what? That's kind of funny. I got to give it up to them. But I haven't really done too much of it.
I was going to ask what you've done in Divinity 2, like that second act. Like, are you just landed kind of thing, or like, because I remember it kind of decently well.
Start a couple of quests. Going into what's that first town called?
That I don't remember. But did you do the chicken?
Wood? I haven't done anything with the chicken yet.
Okay.
Neither of us have Pet Pal, so we can't talk to animals. So I don't know if that'll play into it or not.
Okay.
But I have been aware of the meme of that market where the people are always walking around going, keeping it together, Bree.
Oh, fuck me. Oh my God. Every time, like, you're shopping and it takes a while to like choose what you want. So fucking RPG.
And Act 2 is long and you're always going back to this town and you always go to the same vendors.
I used to go in and like turn down either, I can't remember the volume or just the voices when I went into that market.
Turn down character voices. Smells worse over here than a dozen rotten eggs dunked in a vat of vinegar.
Come on, fuck.
Every like 45 seconds.
Every 45 seconds. I can't remember what it's like a dwarf, right? And I can't remember what his like comeback is. He's like, then don't come over here or something.
Yeah. So we've only just been exposed to that, so we'll see lots more of that marketplace to come. But yeah, it's pretty much been that. I really fell off the Mega Bonk. Haven't been really doing much Mega Bonking recently.
Mega Bonk.
I haven't done any Peak recently either. They added that new biome at the beginning of November. I still haven't done it yet. Night Rain had that Into the Deep of Night sort of update that I haven't really touched at all. And I was doing RoboQuest there for a while. I was playing quite a lot of RoboQuest, but kind of fell off doing that too. Because again, like even with, just Tavern Keeper and Infinite Wealth, like that would be enough game for me every day kind of thing. But then there's also Divinity in there and maybe some Borderlands 4 sometimes. So like even like 4 games is a lot to be doing all at once. So
sounds like you're ripe for a playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3 in there though. Like don't drop anything. Just
you say that. On Tuesdays we have been playing a campaign for Baldur's Gate online with some friends.
No,
most Tuesdays a week, yeah. Doing a tactician playthrough with some friends.
Jesus Christ.
Because we were doing that with the same friends for like maybe a year and a half doing a playthrough, and then we finished that playthrough, and then we took like a 2 weeks break, and then we started another playthrough. So like I'm just sort of always doing a little bit of Baldur's Gate.
Jeez.
How about you, Ryan?
Kind of just, well, we just completed the Fortnite season.
Dang.
That was all the Simpsons
oh, yeah, right.
business. And I'm pretty excited for some Kill Bill stuff coming next season. So that'll be kind of fun. Claire Obscure. I put in quite a bit of time with that. I don't know if it's a Ryan Johnson game. It would not be my game of the year.
Dang.
That's for sure. And I had to turn down the difficulty, so this is like a skill issue. I admit this. But it is like more of a high level kind of RPG where you got to really kind of pay attention to numbers and stuff. That's never been my bag, and so
it's
I just
very
turned
like
it on
combo
to,
based, that combat.
And so
you gotta set yourself up for other effects later, and
right, which is not how my brain works. And so I just kind of turned it down to story mode, and I'm just gonna try to get through it just to check it off the list, basically. I like the universe. I think the characters are cool. Like everything else is working. It's not the mechanical of game aspect of it is not a Ryan Johnson type game. So
you ever notice how people get like really upset if you don't like the game that they like?
It's weird, right?
Like I know so many people that like they like Clair Obscur is their game of the year. Like I've even one of my friends said it's like their game of the decade. Like it's the best game they played in 10 years.
Wow.
Like they love it that much, right? But some people will just be like, like I tried it. It's just not really for me. Like you say, it's not that it's a bad game. It's just not a Ryan Johnson game.
Yeah.
But there'll be people that'll be like, fuck you, man. Like it's so good. And you just don't have any taste and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's okay for people to not like things. Like it's not a personal attack on you just because you like it. Like don't attach your self-worth to this game and other people liking it or not.
I think it's kind of like a rubber band effect where it's like when you hear like a really good song and you want to share it with like your friends.
Of course. Yeah.
And it's like the best thing is when they're like, oh man, that's a freaking awesome song.
Yeah.
But then if they go, no, that song sucks, you're like, oh, my heart, And so I think it's kind of that similar situation.
It's just the humans wanting to connect to and relate with other humans, right? And that's fine. But like, don't go for the throat.
Yeah. They want their opinion validated, right? They want to know that they're right, and like I know how to choose good games, and you agree with me that I know how to choose good games.
But by that same token, is my opinion really worth that much? Like, who cares what my opinion is of your taste in games?
But I think you can also recognize when something is good, even though you don't like it. I don't like 80s music, but it's like when I hear an 80s song, it's like, okay, I understand why people like this, but I don't like it. You know what I mean? That's possible.
Some people are definitely like, I think we mentioned it earlier, but less artsy though. Like you play music. Like some people wouldn't be able to objectively, I would imagine, look at a song and be like they either like it or they're like, I just don't like it. Not necessarily hate it, but it's just sort of like they can't be like, I would acknowledge why people like this. Like to them, it's just sort of like a yes or no.
Yeah. And that's about it. I think it was just Fortnite and Clair Obscur.
And Black Ops.
Was that this week?
Yeah.
I guess it was, yeah. And Black Ops 7 and a little bit of Control because I was trying to troubleshoot Adriano's PC. And so I downloaded it on GOG myself just to see if it was like something wrong with the GOG version. But so far it's running okay. I did get some stutters at the beginning though, so who knows? This is why the next PC console, Matt, is going to suck, right?
I was gonna have $2,000 worth of RAM at 8 gigabytes.
All right, Tim, where can they see you streaming?
Playing a variety of games, but mostly
wait.
Divinity and
I'll go for it.
Yakuza, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth at twitch.tv/thesidetrack, where if you want to see exclusively main story linear content, it's the wrong place, because I always am getting distracted endlessly by 1,000 side objectives, trying to play with, different friends and have them encourage my bad gaming habits too. It's usually a good time.
We'll go back to that Morrowind mod and we'll play every side objective using the journal only.
I mean, like, part of me wants to like Morrowind so bad, but I feel like I just missed the boat on it. And I hate that I missed the boat, but sometimes that's how life goes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's just the way she goes.
Sometimes she goes and sometimes she don't.
Before we go out, I do just want to bring back what porn game is trending on Steam. And this week
that was the interruption. Like, you're like, no, wait, because gotta get to this porn game.
The content of the game gave me a chuckle, or at least like when they're talking about like what you're kind of going to see in it, gave me a chuckle. But anyway, this is Shanna, priestess of Tona. I'm gonna say Shanna. Shanna, priestess of Tona, is an 18+ auto battler roguelike, where you play as a dominant priestess who defeats enemies not only with strength, but also with her sexual abilities.
Oh, yeah.
Fight monsters, seduce captains, provoke bosses, and enjoy every sweet moment of victory. Now, here's where I kind of got a chuckle. It says all participants are legal age and express their consent. Content may be sensitive to some people. The game contains sexual acts, nudity, group sex, blowjob, vaginal sex, anal sex, elements of BDSM, and then sex with reasonable monsters.
But with reasonable monsters?
I don't know what that means.
What is
reasonable?
Yeah.
They're decent guys. They're just reasonable.
They're very understanding. Yeah.
I'm just fighting for my family.
And then some scenes contain dubious consensual relationship.
What's your last name? Tona? What do them Tonas do?
Damn it!
Toenails?
Priestess of Tona.
What's them Tonas do?
Or maybe Tana. I don't know anymore. And goddamn.
He says.
Is it tagged with AI?
Only the nipples.
Oh.
Runs on Windows 7, in case you were wondering.
Oh, thank God.
A 2 gigahertz dual core processor. And if you're worried about the RAM prices, don't worry. You only need 2 gigabytes of RAM.
Hell yeah.
512 megabyte graphics card, and then 8 gigabytes of available space.
Sick.
So put that on your wish list. So there's a big thing that says wish list now, and then let your friends see it, and then they can buy it for you maybe.
Oh, man.
It's never too early to get those Christmas gifts. Those purchases locked and loaded on Steam, yeah.
You can see us streaming, not porno games, but well, we need a different site for that, I think. Twitch.tv/Day1Patch Media, Wednesdays 9 p.m. Eastern. And we'll see you guys next time.
Hey, yo, peace.